Hi everyone. Today I am making an Easter card, and it might be a little early for Easter if you're watching this when I first make this video, which is in January. However, Easter will come upon us soon, right? And I needed to make this card for a swap that I'm participating in. I participate in a swap every time a new catalog comes out, and there's a group of demonstrators from the Midwest region who does a swap using, everybody chooses a different stamp set from the catalog, and we make two different cards with then like multiples of each one. We had to make 15, so I will send out 30 cards, 15 of one and 15 of the other, and then I get back 30 different cards, and that's really fun. And that way it helps us with our ideas for the mini catalog and also for our displays. So my assigned stamp set was Easter lilies and notes of nature, so I had to come up with a card with Easter lilies, even though it is a blustery winter stormy day outside my house this week. So here I am with my Easter, and I really enjoyed working with this. You'll notice that there are dies that cut out. Now the picture here is actually smaller than reality. These dies are made to fit the actual stamps. So it just didn't fit, the images didn't fit, I guess, on the cover well, but they're bigger in reality, so here they are. And not only do you get lilies that are stamped, but you can also make lilies. Here are petals that you layer and leaves that you layer to make lilies out of cardstock as well. Now I'm going to do this card using the stamps, but I will definitely be making some lilies out of cardstock in the future because that is really intriguing to me. I really like that idea. But I had an idea in my head for watercolor for these, and so I really wanted to get that done. So anyway, we're going to use this, and I don't have a sample to show you at the beginning because I had to mail these swaps on Thursday to get them there, and I forgot to save myself one. So anyway, we're going to make another one, and actually I will take, when we're done, of course, I will take a picture of it, so the thumbnail, you've already seen it. Here's how we made it. So my base of my card is basic white, and then I'm also using basic white on some layers. So I wanted to point out that Stampin' Up! Has two basic whites, just in case you were unfamiliar. There's basic white thick, and then basic white. Now the thick is a heavier weight, obviously, with the name thick, and I use that for the card bases or things that are going to get handled a lot. So for example, this, oh, I used a dirty one. I'll have to get a clean one. This is a thick basic white, and this is the card base, and then I'm using just a basic weight of basic white for the layering pieces. Now if I'm making a box or things that move, pop out, different things like that, then I will still use the thick. But if I'm doing just layering pieces, I'm going to use, or inside panels, I use the regular. The thick is just a little bit more expensive than the thin, so I use it where I can. So let me get a new piece of basic white. Okay, so I've got my outside of my card, and then I've got a piece of basic white that I'm going to use to stamp my images on. I'm actually going to look for some smaller scraps. I love to use up my scraps. This is a leftover piece, so that ought to do it actually. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our images. Hopefully this is not going to distract you. That's a different stamp, a different die cut that I'm not using today, but this got dirty, so I'm going to use this side, and that's what we're going to do. So what I wanted to do is use some embossing, and I love using embossing with watercolor because the embossed edge is kind of raised and it holds that watercolor in. Now you don't need to hold your watercolor in, but it's a fun way to do watercolor fast, and I think embossing on a card always just kind of elevates it anyway. So I'm stamping various flower parts. Now this is Versamark, which is a clear sticky stamp. You won't be able to see it. I can barely see it. I'm kind of looking for the sheen to make sure I don't stamp over anything. All right, one more can fit up in the corner. Okay. when I put the embossing powder on it, you'll be able to see it. So let's do that. I am using this little embossing buddy. This is a nice little tool to have if you are looking for something for your craft room that you don't have. It holds the powder, and when I was doing my multiples of this was really handy because then I had this tray and I could just kind of scoop up powder and shift it onto my little pieces. And I did a time lapse of that on my Facebook group, and that was kind of fun. So I've got all my stamped images, and I'm going to heat up that powder. Okay, I've got all my images, and now we're going to color them. I'm going to use my water painters, which are fun little water-filled brushes. They come in a pack of, oh, how many come in the pack? 3. This is not the right size that I wanted to use. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's in the kitchen. The one I wanted to use, I think, is in the kitchen. Drying, but here we go. We'll use this one. Okay, so I wanted to use bright springy colors. I'm going to go with Flirty Flamingo. Now I looked up lilies online, and there's so many colors, actually, more than I thought there would be. My daughter's favorite flower is the tiger lily that grows in our yard. She loves when they come out every year, and I could probably even do something with that idea in mind with this stamp set. Even though that's a different kind of flower, it still kind of looks the same. Maybe it's the same family, I don't know. Anyway, I'm doing Lemon Lime Twist as my green. My normal go-to green is usually granny apple green these days, but I use so much of it at Christmas. I didn't have enough to do 15, and so then I was kind of like, what color green? And then I remembered that I have this really fun Lemon Lime Twist, and I have some really fun Lemon Lime Twist ribbon, and so I'm actually quite pleased that I didn't use granny apple green because this is a fun color. Anyway, so I've got Lemon Lime Twist, and I'm just picking it up with the water painter, and I'm going to paint the stems. And when I looked online, it appeared that sometimes even the bottoms of these kind of still have a greenish little, as the color emerges when they grow, the green kind of fades out, the pink kind of takes over. But I wanted to show a little bit of green at the bottom of those too. And I'm just painting quickly. Now, I have a little too much water on my brush. Something I like to keep next to me when I'm painting is my Stampin' Scrub, because as I switch colors, all I do is squeeze the brush, the water kind of goes onto the tip, and it just wipes off. So you can just go on to the next color. Alright, so now we're going to do that Flirty Flamingo. So when I was looking at some of the lilies, I noticed that some of them, and I thought they were kind of nice, have this like almost stripe down the center, like a little vein of color. So I'm going to mimic that. So I wanted to do that first because I wanted to kind of set. I'm not using a whole lot of water because this is basic white paper, not watercolor paper, so I don't want to go too crazy. But if you're just doing a quick wash like this, you can get away with the basic white. So then I'm just going to add some pink to the buds. I went a little heavier than I wanted on that one. Add a little water and lift that off with my finger. There we go. Okay, so then once I've got that one done and these have kind of set a little bit, to do the centers, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of pink and kind of go like this. And I don't want to do a lot because I'm keeping this flower really loose, and it's got white on it, it's got pink on it. Just a fun little flower. They also have little speckles on them if you want to get crazy, but I kind of felt like there was a lot of little black lines in there already, and speckles might confuse it, although I plan on doing that with the cardstock one. Okay. Here's my pieces. Once my green is dried, let me wipe off my pink. I wanted to go back in and add just a little bit of green kind of down the vein of the, there we go, the leaf. All right, super simple watercoloring. We're not going crazy here. Okay, so we're gonna leave that. And cut those out. I'm gonna cut them out in a second because I wanna get on to, I'm gonna do all my cutting at once. So the next thing I needed was I wanted to have a background piece on top of my basic white. I like to usually have a couple layers. So I'm using this lemon lime twist and a blending brush. And I was gonna just do a solid little blend of color across the background just to add a little highlight of green. But then I decided it might be fun to use a mask. So I'm using this piece here, and now this I cut out with another new product. Super fun. It's called Perennial Postage Dies, and it's got a lot of really nice shapes, rectangles and squares with this postal cut sides. There's also a little tag holder kind of thing, a label maker, this cute little design there, and a little tab, like if you wanted to turn something into a tag and cut a hole. So that's really nice, and I really like these dies. I think they'll be useful on just about anything, really. So I wanted to use that as my background, and I'm going with the second largest one. There's actually one even bigger. And then I'm going to use these masks as a little stencil on the back to add just some more detail, because if I can make things another step longer, I will. So I'm going to use this one, but I wanted to show you what the pack comes with. These are in the annual catalog, the big catalog. They're right here with all the little embossing things. Here's that embossing buddy I used. It comes with a little brush and some reverse tweezers. And then here are the decorative masks. There's two different collections, and there's also one in the Spring Mini, and there's also one on the clearance rack right now. So there's actually several to choose from. And this one is the one we're going to be using here. It's called, what is it? Artistic Mix. Okay, and here they are. This makes like a plaid, which is really fun. Okay. So I just need to tape it in place. Probably this tape has worn off. Let's see. Throw a little more on there. And I'm going to use my blending brushes and just kind of go in a circular motion, pick up some of that lemon lime twist. And normally I like to start off and go in the middle. The middle's going to have flowers directly on it, so I'm not really super worried about the initial tapping of the ink. So I'm just going in a circular motion, round and round. I'm just looking for a subtle hint of this pattern behind the lilies. So I'm not worried about it being even or going all the way to the edge. So that's all I'm gonna do. Let's see how that turned out. Nice, okay. So there it is, just a subtle hint of color. I thought about putting some pattern paper or cardstock, but I really loved the subtleness of this, and it's just a really pretty little detail. It looks delicate, which is what I'm kind of going for. All right, so this is going to layer right on top of that, and I will go ahead and do that before I lose my pieces. And that is my background. Now I need to make a sentiment, and here I did a kind of an interesting thing. Well, I thought it was interesting. We'll see what you think. So again, I'm grabbing some scraps. Okay, now I wanted to go with this Perennial Postage dies, and I kept coming upon a problem with that because none of them fit the sentiment that I wanted to use. I wanted to use He Is Risen, and they were all just a little bit too big, and that was a bummer. So what I decided to do was go sideways. So if you cut this way with your die, you'll only get the edge, which is exactly like this one. See, but this one was too small. But I can get that same look by cutting here. So I've got the straight top and bottom just like this, and the ticket sides just like this if I go this way. Isn't that fun? And that way I can get any size that I want by using some of these rectangles or squares. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I need to stamp my okay, so I need to emboss this. All right. Yeah, I'm going to put away this before I knock it over. So you just kind of untwist the end here and tap it back in the jar. If you need to, you can use the brush to get off any others. I think this is the one I wanted, or just, yeah. So then I'm going to cut it like that, and it's going to look like this die that was too small. See? Okay, so I'm going to cut out these and this. Okay, I'm using this ribbon here, and it's part of a ribbon combo pack with a petal pink ribbon, which I almost went with in my card. I love this lemon lime twist ribbon. It's kind of small, but it's got a little white stitching going through it. It's really cute. I've used quite a bit of this. And this is also from the annual catalog. So I'm just going to make a little bow. And let's put it together. So I'm using some liquid glue and dimensionals. I'm going to start by putting down my stem. And that is going to get glued down flat. And then I've got my big lily, and that's going to go up on a dimensional. Okay, and that I kind of feel like it's going this way. And then that lily has that branch kind of continuing up. This is how I'm doing it anyway. Of course, you can set it up however you like. I'm gonna have this one coming out there, and this one coming from here. So I've got a little host of lilies coming out. All right, and then for our sentiment, it's gonna go right at the bottom. I'm gonna use a glue dot to place this down. And then we'll add some gems. So I'm just gonna put this right there, and my sentiment is gonna go right on top. I'm going to make sure that my dimensionals are not going to go over the bow because it's already got some bulk. So this will kind of hold it up off of that knot, but I'm going to go over the knot and just like so. So it's kind of hanging off the side a little bit. There we go. And then I wanted to add some shimmer. So I'm using Iridescent Basic Gems. These are in the annual catalog, and if you look at them, they actually pick up the colors from the card. They really do shine as if they are Lemon Lime Twist and Flirty Flamingo, but they're just really not. But that's what it looked like when I was looking through my embellishments. I'm like, wow, these are exactly what I'm looking for. There's a couple different sizes, so I'm just kind of putting a few of the different sizes on the card. Should have used my take your pick tool because that one's floating all over the place. There we go. Okay, so I've got my Easter card. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really a fun card to make. I love watercolor and I love using those blending brushes. They're such a fun technique. It's just a subtle little background, and I don't know if it shows up as well on the video, but you can see that textured pattern behind the lily really nicely, almost like a trellis. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and come back again.